Year 2 is complete and we finished 3 games below 500, 78 and 84 on the season, 4th place in the American League West, above the Athletics by a wide margin, and we finished 8 games out of the wild card spot. A down year yet again, but it improved upon our win total from season 1, in which we won 74 games. So 4 more wins than a year ago. I call that a step in the right direction. As the regular season has come to an end here, as we take a look at the playoff bracket, but first I want to take a look at some awards. So Aaron Judge is your MVP out of the American League. I was hoping Mike Trout could win it. Unfortunately, they give it to a guy who hits 53 home runs with 130 RBIs. And then the MVP in the NL is a pitcher. It's Tyler Glasnow. 23-3 record, 2.64 ERA, 263 strikeouts. It's pretty obvious he won the Cy Young as well. It's Christian Javier winning it out of the American League. Batting title does belong to Yandy Diaz. Mike Trout's average kind of fell off a little bit as the season went on, but 36 home runs, still an excellent season. And this right here is just diabolical. The batting title in the NL, all Los Angeles Dodgers players, Betts with a 342 average, Shohei with a 342 average, and Freddie Freeman with a 333 average. Just not even fair. Andy Pages wins Rookie of the Year out of the NL. Back-to-back years a Dodgers player has won it. And then Wyatt Langford wins it in the AL. Back-to-back years that a Texas Ranger has won it. Rufus Zito, the deep potential third baseman for the Tigers, came in second. We definitely need to bump his potential up. He can't be a D potential player anymore, probably more like a B potential guy. Mike Trout wins the Hank Aaron Award with that 314 average and 36 home runs. He won it over Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve, so we won an award there. Mike Trout comes in second in the Gold Glove for center fielders, but Mickey Moniak wins the Gold Glove for right fielder, so a pretty good award for him to get. That's his very first award of his career, as he is the 2025 Gold Glove Award winner out of the right field position. And then somehow Kerry Carpenter wins Silver Slugger DH. Patrick Wisdom comes in second with that 37 home run season, 105 RBIs, pretty much all career highs. We do know that the average was pretty low, but yet again, that's the second or third best of his career. And then Mike Trout just missing out on the Silver Slugger and the outfielder. Probably should have made it over Julio Rodriguez. Not really sure how he didn't. But here's a look at the playoff bracket. The Dodgers, the number 1 seed, Braves, number 2 seed. And then you have the Phillies, Pirates, Cubs, and Diamondbacks as wildcard teams. Then you have the Astros and Orioles at the 1 and 2 seeds in the AL. And then Rangers, Mariners, Twins, and Yankees in the wildcard spot. And just to look at the Dodgers record, because we saw their crazy average, that a 290 average as a team is ridiculous. They were 115 and 47. That is ridiculous. Oh, and I forgot to show you guys league leaders as well. So Mike Trout led in slugging percentage with that 609. He led in on-base plus slugging, which is OPS, with that 1,024, and he led WAR at 10.2. As now we're taking a look at like the playoff numbers, so we're not going to see the regular season numbers, but Mike Trout did lead in 3 categories, which was exciting to see. He really saved our team from really kind of going into full-on sell mode at the trade deadline. As the first round is over, it's the Mariners beating the Rangers 2-1, Twins sweep the Yankees, and then the Pirates sweep the Phillies, and the Diamondbacks beat the Cubs in 3. Astros beat the Mariners 3-1. Baltimore beats the Twins 3-1. So we're going to see an Astros-Orioles matchup in the ALCS. And the Pirates sweep the Dodgers. They sell again. 115 wins in the regular season do not matter. The Pirates with the sweep, and then the Diamondbacks are heading back to the NLCS as well. We could see a World Series rematch between the Orioles and Diamondbacks again. And we will. It's the Orioles beating the Astros in 7. And then the Diamondbacks beat the Pirates in 5. It's Baltimore versus Arizona again. The Diamondbacks did win last year. Can the Orioles beat them this time? They're going to 7. Game 7, the Orioles have defeated the Diamondbacks in the 2025 World Series. It's back-to-back seasons we've seen the Diamondbacks versus the Orioles, and they have split their World Series matchups 1-1. It's the Orioles winning it here in 2025. And Ron Washington has decided to retire. I think we were going to fire him at the end of the season anyway. He's decided to retire, so we'll need to hire a new manager going into year 3. Alexander Rado has decided to retire. He's our hitting coach, so we'll need to replace him as well. And it is time for the offseason. Let's go ahead and view some retired players here, see if there's anybody important. Really nobody important there retiring. And Max Scherzer has been inducted to the 2025 Hall of Fame, as players retire and get inducted right away, which is not how it works in real life, obviously. But Scherzer is a Hall of Famer. Pretty cool to see, as it's time for the offseason. How about Dino Abel as our potential manager here? A 3-year, 7.6. We can give him we'll give him 8 per year. So a 3-year, $24 million deal. He's looking for 7.6. Victor Zarate, 51 years old, gives us +2 to clutch, plate vision, and power. So we can go ahead and send him an offer as our hitting coach. We'll give him a little bit more than what he wants. And then lastly, I think we need to get a first base coach. What about Cy Ginn here? +2 to durability, +1 to accuracy, fielding, and arm strength. I think I'm going to go ahead and send over an offer for him. And we can send him something like that right there. So we actually just saw that Dino Abel had managed the Angels in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and withdraw that offer there. And then we'll look for somebody else to offer as our manager. What about Clinton Huber here? +3 to clutch, +1 to power, +1 to walks per 9, and +3 to durability. He is 67 years old, so it's kind of a risk there. And then you also have Daniel Pacheco, who gives you +3 to speed, +1 to break and power, and then -1 to clutch, and Ronan Miller, who just gives you too many negatives in my opinion. Jose Ornelas is also down here as well with +2 to power and durability, +1 to speed, and -2 to break. You know what? I'm going to send over an offer to Jose Ornelas. I'm going to send him a 3-year, $18 million deal. Probably not the best deal, but that should take care of our staff. We'll see if we can lock these guys up for the future. So we have a couple of team option players here. Ahmed Rosario is the very first guy here. I talked about it. I am going to be declining his option. He just didn't play well enough last year with that 223 average, only 6 home runs in total. The OPS sitting at 620. He didn't slug. He really didn't get on base at all. He was a -1.2 WAR player. I'm going to go ahead and decline his option. So he is set to be a free agent. And then Elias Diaz at 35 years old. I think one more year of him being our backup catcher probably works out, with a 259 average last season, a 690 OPS. The WAR was a positive WAR at 0.7. I think I am going to exercise his option. We'll pick him up. And then aside from that, John Birdie set to be a free agent. Remember, we signed him in free agency, sent him down to Single-A after he got 66 at-bats. So John Birdie, we're going to ignore him. Caleb Thielbar, 39 years old. He's just too old at this point in his career. He did pitch pretty decent for us, and we could re-sign him as kind of like a AAA arm, but I'm going to look elsewhere. And then Aaron Hicks, I think it's time to look elsewhere with him as well. Griffin Canning is the guy that I really am thinking about trying to give an offer to. 4.43 ERA, 1.4 whip from last year was not good. I think I am going to hold off on him. His WAR was at 3.1, so he was a pretty solid starting pitcher for us. I got to imagine the FIP was a little low. Yeah, 3.76 kind of indicated that he just kind of got unlucky. Wasn't really giving up home runs. He wasn't walking too many more batters. And his K per 9 was even up this season. Griffin Canning, what is he looking for? 11.6 per year. So I'm going to actually have to say no to that. So I'm going to let these guys walk. Griffin Canning, we could approach him in free agency though. Jose Ornelas has accepted the Angels' offer as the manager. So we have a new manager. We have a new head guy leading the team. I think he brings a fresh set of eyes to the clubhouse. Cy Ginn has accepted the Astros' offer as manager, so he's no longer considering what we'd like to stop simulating. We'll go ahead and stop, and I don't remember who it was that we were trying to offer. So Ray Diaz gives us +1 to blocking, +1 to reaction and arm strength, and +2 to speed. So I'm going to go ahead and send him an offer. I think maybe he can appreciate what we could offer him a little bit more. We'll offer him 1.3 per year. So we're kind of overpaying these coaches, but I think they do make somewhat of an impact when you're playing MLB the Show. Ray Diaz has accepted the Angels' offer as the first base coach, so another coach hired. And today is the last day to tender a qualifying offer. Would you like to stop simulating? We are going to be making a trade. This one's a big one. Patrick Sandoval last season just really didn't play well. 5.37 ERA, a 1.47 whip. 13 quality starts in the season, and 1.6 WAR. The FIP was at 4.47, just as 0.03 higher than a year ago. He just hasn't really worked out for us. He is seeing his ratings increase. He's 29 years old, B potential guy. He has one more year of team control. I think that he can give value to a team other than us. And we are going to be getting Alec Boehm in return. He's also 29 years old, B potential, only 2 overalls lower than Patrick Sandoval. He had a down year with the Phillies a year ago. Only 12 home runs, the OPS at 677, so below league average. So he had a rough year. He was still a positive WAR player, a 1.5 WAR player. I think both of these guys are in serious need of seeing a fresh environment. He also has 1 year of team control left. I think this is a very good trade right here. Patrick Sandoval for Alec Boehm, just a straight up 1-for-1 swap. And we have made our first trade of the offseason. I'm not really sure how many more we're going to be making, but we have made a trade. And funny enough, that immediately makes Alec Boehm the second highest overall player on our roster. I'm excited about him. He can hit lefties extremely well. Struggles to hit righties at time, but you know, the vision and clutch are there, which is something that I really like. And we desperately needed a third baseman a year ago. You know, Alec Boehm not known for, defense, but he can hit quite well. Even with a 252 average, last year, was below average OPS wise. I think he can definitely add a lot to this team. And we have made a deal before free agency has even hit, as Victor Zarate has accepted our offer as the hitting coach for 3 years. So we have filled out our coaching staff. It's time for free agency. And I think right away, we're going to look to try and extend Alec Boehm here. A 4-year, $30 million deal. That would give him $7.5 million per year. We also offered him arbitration, but we'll also send him over a contract offer. If he doesn't take the offer, then he'll just be offered arbitration. As a matter of fact, I am going to withdraw that offer. I'm just going to offer arbitration. And then during next season, if we find out that he is performing quite well, we could then send over an offer to him. I just don't think it's time to send him an offer yet, just because we haven't seen him play on our team. I don't want to lock him up to a 4-year deal and he's not as good as we would hope. So I keep changing my mind on this here. I am actually going to sign or try and offer Alec Boehm here a 3-year, $21 million a year or salary. So a $7 million a year contract. If he takes it, he takes it. If he doesn't, then he will obviously have the arbitration offered. That will give us this season and 2 more years of team control afterwards. So that's the offer that we've sent over to Alec Boehm. Other than that, we did offer arbitration to every other guy on this list. We're willing to bring back all of them. Nolan Shanuel, we're going to go ahead and renew his contract for $780,000. Fernando Guillen, we could offer him a long-term deal as well. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just renew his contract for $780,000. And then I'm going to do that with the rest of these guys. If anything else pops up, then I will let you know. So I went through and I've offered all of these contracts here. That bit of housekeeping is done. Michael Stefanik, we're not going to send him an offer. He is 63 overall. He did what he did for the team, and other than that, I think it's time to let him walk. Caleb Hamilton, same thing for him. Other than that, we are going to be bringing back pretty much everybody. And then looking at the players we could lose Mason Erla, Tanner Scoble, Matt Courtney, Blair Calvo, and then Matt Horvath is there as well. He is 67 overall, 23 years old. I think I'm going to add him to the 40-man once we have decided what we're going to do in free agency, but I wouldn't be too worried if we lost him. I know we got him in a trade, and you don't really want to just give up guys that you traded, but at the same time, I'm not going to be sweating it. So it is time for free agency. I want to bring in maybe a couple of starting pitchers, and I'd also like to bring in an outfielder, somebody who can play every day in left field. We got Alex Verdugo here, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Tucker, plenty of guys to go around. We'll see what is calling our name. So you got Zach Gallen, Dylan Cease, and Framber Valdez. These guys were all offered qualifying offers, meaning if we sign them, then unfortunately they would get a draft pick from us. So we would lose a draft pick. Do I think that's the smartest thing for our team, seeing as how, our farm system isn't where I'd like it to be yet? Still a really good farm system, but it's got a lot of room to grow. I don't think the smartest decision would be to try and sign these guys right here. Chris Paddock, on the other hand, though, lost potential. So he's now down to B potential. year ago, he put up numbers that if he was getting strikeouts, could have been a Cy Young type of player. Looking at the WAR 2.0, 2.3, FIP kind of high from a year ago. Maybe somebody we hold off on trying to sign right now. Brandon Woodruff, though, WAR went down a little bit this season. The FIP went up. Looking at his ERA and WHIP numbers here, the WHIP was actually down, the ERA just a little higher. Just didn't get as many strikeouts from a year ago. He is 33 years old as well. He's somebody that I do have some interest in trying to sign. So Brandon Woodruff will get our first offer, especially only looking for $12.4 million a year here. I'd be willing to offer him a 4-year deal worth $50 million, 12.5 a year. I think that's a pretty good offer for Brandon Woodruff. And that puts us just above the Brewers. So we actually might need to offer him a little bit more here. Maybe $13 million a year potentially. So what about 4 years, $52 million, 13 per year? That makes us a little bit more competitive than the Brewers. Obviously, he's not going to want to leave Milwaukee. That's where he's been familiar, you know? And then how about Nestor Cortes here? He's a lefty, so we would need a lefty, especially trading Patrick Sandoval. He's 31 years old. So if we were to sign him and Woodruff, it would be two older starting pitchers. You know, I don't really know how you guys would feel about that, but looking at Nestor Cortes, he annoys me in real life. I just can't stand watching him in real life with his windup. It's just pretty annoying. But when you look at his numbers, he's very consistent. The WHIP was 1.23 on the dot. The ERA was down by 0.03, gave up 23 home runs in back-to-back seasons, only 10 more innings of work. The WAR, very similar. The FIP, similar. You know, he walked a little bit more people last season, so we're seeing that base on balls per 9, the walk per 9 number or attribute go down. But Nestor Cortes, how much does he want? He's looking for about the same. Maybe we give him a 4-year deal as well. It would take more to get him if we gave him a 4-year deal. So maybe a 5-year deal, maybe a 4-year deal here with a club option for $14 million a year. That is actually less than, that puts our interest level less than the Yankees. He wants a 5-year deal, and that's just pretty hard for me to come to terms with there. Framber Valdez, he's also a lefty. He's 32 years old. And then looking at his seasons, he's been really good. The strikeout number is pretty high as well. Looking at the WAR, he's been really good. Would he be somebody that I would be willing to offer and lose out on a draft pick? I mean, he's looking for a lot of money, and I just don't know if I'm willing to pay that much. What about a 5-year, $70 million deal with a player option thrown in there? That does put us just a little bit above the New York Yankees. So we're going to go ahead and start the offers out with Brandon Woodruff to a 4-year, $52 million deal and Nestor Cortes to a 5-year, $70 million deal. Starting off with starting pitchers, I just think that guys like Reed Detmers and Chase Silseth weren't good enough for us. And Brandon Woodruff, 33 years old, Nestor Cortes, 31 years old. These are veteran pitchers here. And I think that they should give us some level of consistency. We have no need to go for bullpen help. We're good on closers and relief pitchers. We could look at a backup catcher, but like I said, we have Elias Diaz, and it's not like he's going to be playing very often anyway. Mitch Garver would be somebody that's actually an interesting option, but I don't really feel the need. So I think Austin Hayes is going to be the guy that I'm going to offer here. He's 30 years old, but last season had a 301 average, 12 home runs. His attributes are pretty level across the board here. I mean, he was just as good this past season as he was the year prior. The WAR sitting at 3.5, 3.6 in back-to-back seasons. He's only looking for 8.2 per year. We could give him an offer of 4 years, $34 million. I think that's a really good offer, and that's way better than what the Baltimore Orioles are sending his way. So we only have 3 offers: Brandon Woodruff, Nestor Cortes, and Austin Hayes. So that's what I'm going to offer here. I'm going to simulate a couple of days and see what happens. Will Smith has signed with the Milwaukee Brewers. Kyle Tucker signs with the Kansas City Royals. So these star players are wasting no time in finding a new home. And there you have it. Austin Hayes has signed to be our everyday left fielder. He's an 80 overall player, B potential, and we have signed him to a 4-year deal worth $8.5 a year. I think that was an easy deal right there. He saw the 8.5 per year and he said, yep, I know where I'm going. And that automatically makes Austin Hayes our 4th highest paid player on the team between Anthony Rendon. Thankfully, he's in his last season. Mike Trout, Robert Stevenson, surprisingly, in his last year of his deal as well. But Austin Hayes, 8.5 per year. I think that's a very good signing for the squad. And then looking at it here, Brandon Woodruff still, trying to think about what he wants to do. Same for Nestor Cortez. We do have guys like Zach Gallen, Framber Valdez, and Chris Paddock still available if we decide to make a move there. Zach Gallen's really not getting the offers he would like. He's looking for a lot of money, though. He was good last season, struck out a lot of guys, but his ERA was actually a little bit too high for my liking. The WARs, above 4 was really good, so don't want to overlook that. Nestor Cortez has accepted the Yankees offer of 3-year, $4.17 million. And we're going to go ahead and stop simulating because we may need to offer somebody else. Ryan Helsley is going to be a Tampa Bay Ray as they give him 7.2 per year. Brandon Woodruff still on the table. Maybe we do increase his offer a little bit. We were looking at a 4-year, $52 million. Maybe we go 4-year, $54 million. And that's worth 13.5 per year. That increases his interest with us as well. Zach Gallen is still available. Chris Paddock and Framber Valdez. How much is Framber Valdez looking for? 18.5. Paddock's looking for 13.9. And then Zach Gallen, 28.2. I think Chris Paddock, he lost potential down to B potential. I don't want that to scare me, though. He is only 30 years old, and he's probably like an 89 potential player. 87 overall. The walks per 9 is very good. The hits per 9 is very good. He had a rough year, and that's also going to be why his, what he's looking for is lower. But I'm willing to give him a 14 per year in a 5-year deal. So that would put him to his age 35 season. I think that's an offer that I'm going to send his way. He's still interested in the Twins, unfortunately. So we might actually have to increase that to like a 5-year, $72 million. And that would be good for about 14.4 per year. That does put us above the Twins. So we do have 2 more offers on the table here. Brandon Woodruff and Chris Paddock. Pitching is going to be where we're going to look to help the team out the most. Not to mention the Padres re-signed Dylan Cease to a 5-year, $117 million contract. That one didn't pop up, but just so everybody is tracking. Here's a big trade. The Royals have acquired Jose Leclerc, closing pitcher, and who'd they trade with? The Rangers have acquired Mason Barnett, a 68 overall, 25-year-old, and Rob Bronson, a 19-year-old who is sitting at 63 overall. I don't know their potential, though. I don't know. That's probably not a bad deal. Chris Paddock has accepted the Twins offer. It looks like you're going to have to go higher if you want these guys. Roster of 40-mans must be set by tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and stop simulating here. Lane Thomas is going to be a New York Yankee, 88 overall now in his career. That is incredible. So should we add Mac Horvath to the 40-man? Right now we have 36 guys on it, and there's a couple guys that I want to add to it. I'm going to say no, we're not going to be adding him yet. And I'm going to go ahead and improve this Brandon Woodruff offer. We were at a 4-year, $54 million contract offer. I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to a 4-year, $60 million. That would give him $15 million per year. I know it's potential overpay. This would also push him to his age 37 season. So we're going to see some regression, of course. I don't know if I even like that myself here. But now you're looking at, Michael King. Is that somebody you're interested in? Not really. Nathan Eovaldi. There are guys down here like Ranger Suarez, but he had a very rough season. Griffin Canning still available as well. Chris Sale at 37 years old, no way. But that's kind of where I would hope we could be at with Brandon Woodruff. If he can still be pretty high overall, that would be amazing. Zach Gallen's the only other guy that I could see us going for here, but he's just looking for way too much money. And the longer you go, I guess it's less money, but I'm not giving Zach Gallen, who's 30 years old, a 10-year deal. Something that's interesting, I keep trying to offer Framber Valdez, and he's just not interested. It must be due to the fact that he hates the Angels. But right now we got Brandon Woodruff on the table. We're still trying to offer. Zach Gallen, I can't get in that race. I mean, you got guys offering this guy a 9-year deal. That's crazy. Maybe we hop in the Zach Gallen sweepstakes here. 7-year deal worth $196 million. That would push him to his age 37 season. That would be a huge contract offer. I mean, I think that's like 28 million per year. But that gives you, a true ace here for the Angels. He's played with Arizona his entire career. He puts together very good seasons. The WAR at 4.1 from a year ago. Do we really want to enter in on these sweepstakes here? It would be Zach Gallen and Brandon Woodruff we're looking to offer. And these guys would be here for a while. You got Fernando Guiaz, who's obviously going to be in the rotation. And then other than that, you got some guys who may take a while to get there. Do I hold off on Zach Gallen? I'm going to go ahead and withdraw that offer. I think it would be fun to enter in on those sweepstakes, but I'm going to go ahead and just offer Brandon Woodruff for now, 15 mil per year. Because I already think that's a ballsy offer to begin with. Zach Gallen has decided to sign with the Minnesota Twins. Devin Williams going to Arizona. Zach Gallen probably a huge reason why the Diamondbacks went to back-to-back World Series. So we're still waiting on what Brandon Woodruff wants to do. Maybe we go through here and we find somebody else who's just a little bit lower overall but can actually offer us some help. And this might sound crazy, but Griffin Canning, I think, is going to be somebody we're going to send an offer to here. I think we're going to give him a 4-year deal. We're going to give him less than what he wants. I think he wanted like 11 something when we were initially talking to him here. I'm going to give him a 4-year, $40 million deal. The Yankees are giving him a crap deal, so he should be fairly interested in this one here. And then that might just be where we go as far as free agency. We really didn't get that much better as far as starting pitching goes. We traded Patrick Sandoval, and we bring in potentially Brandon Woodruff in return. So I'm going to imagine Griffin Canning signed. He did. So Griffin Canning is back in an Angels uniform. I just think, I was going through here and I was looking at it. He's been a 3-WAR player, 3.1 WAR player in back-to-back seasons for us. I think he's better than his numbers indicate. He was like one of the very few guys, Fernando Guillen and him, that were giving us a chance to win baseball games. So Griffin Canning, kind of glad to see him back. And then Brandon Woodruff, we're still waiting on his offer. JT Realmuto has signed with the Twins, so the Twins trying to make a potential World Series push here. So we're seeing no move with Brandon Woodruff here. And he's got some more interest. We might have to bump his deal up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this to a 3-year deal. I'm more willing to give him a 3-year deal than a 4-year deal. And I think the way we're going to have to win this is I think we're going to probably have to offer about 16 mil per year. That would be a 3-year, $48 million contract. And that actually puts us below the Cardinals. The Cardinals, of course, trying to steal him away from Milwaukee. Yeah, and we're still below the Cardinals here if we offer a 3-year deal worth $51 million. So I think we're going to have to go with 4. I think 4 is where we're going to actually have to stand here. And I think we were offering 4 years, 60 mil. I think we're going to have to bump this up to a 4-year, 64 mil. And for some reason, that's putting us below the Cardinals, which is just crazy, seeing as how we'd be giving him $16 million a season. If we can't bring Brandon Woodruff in, I don't know what to expect. And he's going to the Cardinals. It makes me think we shouldn't even have touched anything. So we bring in nobody. Brandon Woodruff's going to the Cardinals for a 3-year, $43.2 million deal. It's only $14.4 per year. Our pitching staff, who I wanted to make better, has just gotten worse. And Framber Valdez is just not interested in playing in Los Angeles, apparently. I mean, I just offered him a 5-year, $100 million deal, and he's just not interested. Well, you got Michael King here, B potential 83 overall, 30 years old. Maybe we offer him like a 3-year deal here, worth 12 a year. We got to bring in some kind of pitching help. We can't not. Clayton Kershaw, he's 38 years old, so that's not going to happen. Jordan Montgomery is only 33 years old. He didn't play in 2024. He played with the Royals last season on a 1-year deal, and he was pretty solid. He'd be a lefty to, our starting rotation. I wouldn't want to give him anything more than like a 3-year deal here. So, maybe I'd go 3-year, $27 million, and he's not interested in that So going to have to take a couple steps back on that one. Then you got Nathan Eovaldi here, 82 overall, 36 years old. The Rangers are offering him a 1-year deal here worth 14.8. I don't think I can hop in on that one. Frankie Montas is somebody who's also interesting here, seeing as how he had a pretty solid WAR in back-to-back seasons. Christopher Sanchez at 29 years old is somebody I'm also pretty interested in here. Only 8 games that he started last season, so he worked mostly out of the bullpen. So, you're not really getting a good idea of how good this guy is. I think what I'm looking at here is Jordan Montgomery is probably the guy that I would like to offer here. I'd have to go 3-year, $33 million, I do believe. That would give him an 11 million per year contract, and that would put us number 1. So Jordan Montgomery, somebody we're going to offer here. He's 33 years old, and 30-year-old Michael King. And both of these are 3-year deals, so these guys wouldn't be here that long. And Montgomery, like I said, didn't play in 2024, but did play last season. And, I think he did decent. The FIP was actually pretty high. Don't really know why. I think it's because he didn't strike very many guys out. We'll see what happens with these two offers right here. I don't like what has happened with our team here. Framber Valdez is going to be a Colorado Rocky. 3-year, $70 million deal, 23.6 per year. That's probably why he kept denying our offers. Today is the 2025 draft lottery. We will go to it. We have the 13th best odds for the number 1 overall pick. That would be ridiculous if we're able to get it, as we will have the 13th pick in the draft. The Athletics will have the number 1 pick. The Mets move up to number 2. We didn't move at all. We'll be picking number 13. I think that's what we picked last season as well, if I'm not mistaken. And you look at the teams from a year ago, Diamondbacks and Orioles. These guys both only won 87 and 88 games. Probably the most unlikely of the two to make the World Series, but they can play good October baseball. Today is the 2025 Rule 5 draft. What would we like to do? Well, we'll go to the draft. And let's hope that our own player doesn't get taken. Dylan Coleman is one guy on here that's actually pretty interesting. But we don't need bullpen help, and that's why I don't think I'm going to be making a move there. You got catchers here that we could also look at, CJ Rodriguez. So we're going to be taking Reynel Delgado, a second baseman. He can play third and short as well. He's going to be a utility guy for us. If we, say he doesn't perform well for us, then it is what it is. Then that's unfortunately going to require him to go back to his original team. But there's somebody else I want to take as well. Kemp Alderman, 23 years old, B potential guy, 65 overall. He's got some pop in his back, could be a utility outfielder, a corner outfielder guy for us. If he doesn't make it through spring training, then it is what it is. But we're going to take him. So 2 players selected in the Rule 5 draft. That's more than anybody else in baseball. And that's going to conclude the Rule 5 draft. And I think Reynel Delgado was a good selection just due to the fact that we really don't have a utility guy coming into this season. Kyron Paris may not even make the roster this year, and he really hasn't done well enough for me to, give him that position. So Reynel Delgado, if he performs well in spring training, could get it. And it's kind of the same thing with Kemp Alderman. If he plays well in spring, then he's going to be our corner outfield type of player. I don't know if Kemp Alderman, he's the guy I don't really think will make it, but we'll have to see. So we got 2 guys in the Rule 5 draft. Can one of them turn out to be somebody special? As we're still waiting on Michael King and Jordan Montgomery to accept some deals here. Somebody did, and it's Jordan Montgomery. So 81 overall, B potential guy, and he's signed on for a 3-year, $11 million deal. It's the exact same deal as Robert Stevenson, and he's a bullpen arm. The whip was low. The ERA was at 3.7. The WAR at 2.1. If he can give us anything like that this season, I think we're going to have ourselves a pretty good starting pitcher. And we are still waiting on Michael King. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to San Francisco. I thought about offering him. His dad played in Anaheim, but I just felt like we don't need any help to our offense. Bo Bichette is still waiting to make a decision here, as the Yankees have actually sent over a pretty decent offer to Michael King. So we're still waiting on that one. And Marcell Ozuna is still waiting on an offer as well. I couldn't pull myself to send anything to this guy. But I mean, at this point, you give the guy a 1-year deal and he'd probably sign with you. Which is odd because he's also coming off of a very good season. Still waiting on Michael King. The Red Sox are interested in offering us a trade. This is an interesting one. Thomas Morrison, 21 years old, 72 overall. Somebody, if you guys remember him, he was taken in this past draft, and he was somebody that I probably would have ended up taking. And they want Nolan Schanuel, 24 years old, a potential guy. I just don't think that I could pull myself to do that. I don't think I could. It's also a weird trade because you got Tristan Casas at first base for the Red Sox. Maybe they think he would fare better as their everyday DH. And for us, who would play first base for us? It'd probably be Alec Boehm to play third. Patrick Wisdom, he's going to be our DH, so that couldn't work. Logan O'Hoppe can play some first base, though, so that's also, that's always an option. I don't think that I can accept this trade. I definitely want to because I think Thomas Morrison's exactly what we would need. Another young pitcher who could come up once that hit per nine and K per nine gets up to above 60. I think he'd be on the team. And I definitely am interested in this trade, but I think I'm going to have to decline, unfortunately. Yep, I thought about it some more. I'm going to have to decline. I love the offer. That's one of the first offers that's truly made me think, like stop and think, heck, I might accept this. But Schanuel is still young. He's part of the reason I wanted to do this franchise is because, you had these young players like him and Zach Neto. I think it made it interesting. And he's also an on-base machine for us. So I don't want to get rid of him because he does his job and he does it quite well. Somebody's made a decision, and Michael King is going to be a Los Angeles Angel. So we didn't improve our starting pitching the way we wanted to, but we did improve it. Michael King, 83 overall, Jordan Montgomery, 81. 30 years old for Michael King, and Montgomery's 33. And Michael King has put together 2 fairly decent years with a 2.4 and then a 2.3 whip. WAR. I think he's going to fare decently well. He fares better than what we've had Chase Silseth and Reed Detmers, but we'll have to see what happens. We have a logjam as far as the pitchers go, so we'll have to stop and really think about what our plan of attack is. Only $22.1 million in available budget going into this season, but we're not making any more moves at this point in free agency. But Bo Bichette still has not really gotten a serious offer, which is confusing to me. Maybe he's just being picky. But this is a positive WAR player. I couldn't pull myself to sign him just because I like what we have in Zach Neto, especially because he put together a really solid year a year ago. So the tricky part with this starting rotation is we have 8 guys and we need to fill 5 starting positions. So one of these guys will probably be in the long relief role. 2 of the other guys might be traded, to be completely honest with you. It could be Reed Detmers and Chase Silseth potentially on the move. I don't want to do that because I just don't think it's a smart thing to do, but it definitely could happen. Detmers a year ago just was not good enough for me. It's going to be interesting to see how this year fares. John Means only 1 year left on his deal. We wanted to address pitching and we did that, but now we have a logjam that I don't really know how to get around. Mickey Moniak is going to be making $2.3 million per year. Joe Adell will be making 1.6. Reed Detmer's making 1.8. Somehow, okay, they did side with us because he played so poorly. Chase Silseth will be making 2 a year. Logan O'Hoppe will be making $2 million a year as well. Andrew Wantz, 2.3. Zach Neto will be making 1.8. Chad Wallach, $780,000. It is what it is. Jimmy Herget's going to be making $1.4 million. And that should be it for arbitration. We're going to go ahead and remove Taylor Trammell from our 40-man roster. We now have 38 guys on it, and there are a couple of guys that I want to add. Up first is Eric Mott. Is going to be added to the 40-man roster. I think that's the right move. And next is Sean Skinner. he will also be added to the 40-man. Dennis Brown, somebody we still need to take a look at Double A before we bring him up, but he looks like he's going to be very good in the future. But that is a full 40-man roster. I don't think there's anybody else that I want added to it, as we did retain Mac Horvath. Nobody took him in the Rule 5 draft. But yeah, I am excited for this season. I just kind of worry what we're going to do with our starting pitchers. So I went through here. I added players to our MLB roster. Obviously, it's going to be 40 guys on the roster once spring training hits. But I think that there's 30 guys added to this roster. We need to narrow it down to 26 and have 13 offensive players and 13 pitchers. So 4 guys are going to be going home here. My one worry is I just don't know who it's going to be. You know, there's a good chance that Reed Detmers and Chase Silseth could be traded. They're young. They have a lot of trade bait here. Then there's also the possibility that John Means gets traded. Fernando Guillen, I want him to be on the big league roster. And Chase Chaney, if he struggles in the spring, could he potentially be the one that gets sent down? I don't know, because he performed so well a year ago that I don't think that I want to do that. So what could happen is Michael King or Jordan Montgomery could get traded, even though we just signed them. Well, as a matter of fact, we can't do that because once you sign them, you can't trade them until sometime in July, I do believe. So maybe Reed Detmers or Chase Silseth gets traded. Maybe we hang on to one of them, trade the other. I don't really know what the move is going to be right now. We're going to have to see how spring training plays out, but I do know that it's going to be very interesting, as it is time for spring training. All 40 guys have been added to the 40-man roster. There should be nobody else that we are really concerned about. So I'm going to set the lineup and the pitching rotation and everything like that. But for now, that is going to be where we stop the episode here. This has been our second off season. I do think that we got better. We're ranked 19th in baseball when we have our 40-man added. The defense is 29th, which is not good. But once we set our final 26-man roster, I think we'll be a team that's probably a top 12 as far as roster construction looks. I wanted to get a lot better pitching, but we really didn't. I came with guys that weren't on my radar, and I really don't know how we're going to be looking when the regular season starts, but I want to put together a team that performs well. I don't know what the plan is yet. We have a team that's been constructed. Now we need to figure out the small pieces to that puzzle. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode, which will be opening day, along with some spring training highlights and final roster cuts. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. See ya.